Welcome friends to Elaeagnus Tree Talk or Oleaster Tree Talk. Oleaster means olea like but not olea. Fruits look like olive. So it has been variously named as Russian olive, Persian olive, Indian olive, likewise. But botanically it is identified under the genus Elaeagnus. The most common species found in Jammu Hills is Elaeagnus umbellata, also known as Elaeagnus parvifolia. This is medium-sized tree or a large bush, and mostly the branchlets are spiny, and leaves are silvery white beneath and greyish green above. As Oleaster or Elaeagnus, it is known by the local people in their own languages. It means they were familiar to this wild fruit since early days, when they coined local names as Ban Kanak in Ratal, Dudu, Basantgarh area. Ban Kanak. Ban means forest, Kanak means wheat. So its fruits resemble the wheat grains, pinkish or reddish tinged and almost size of a wheat grain. So it was named as Van Kanak or Kankoli by the locals in Jammu Hills. This particular tree, fruit, if we go to the Bani side, then it is called as Gehan or Gehan, Gamoli. By Gujars call it as Gugani in Rajouri area. It is called as Gulmai or Kanoli in Pogli, Paristan, Raman area. It is also known as Chandeer or Chandihir in Padar, Kishtwar district. And it is called Ghee Vein in Hindi, Uttarakhand, Ghinaroi or Kankoli. These are various names that reflects Jammu Hills. The people were very much familiar with this Oleaster, Elaeagnus umbellata or Elaeagnus parvifolia. Down south, if we go to South India, then we have another Elaeagnus there. The Elaeagnus which is found in South India is called as South Indian wild olive. So this is basically Elaeagnus latifolia, earlier also known as Elaeagnus elliptica or Elaeagnus arborea. South Indian wild olive is as also the local names in Marathi, Malayalam, Kannada, Tamil, as it is reported. It is called as Ambagul or Ambagul or Nurgi in Marathi language. It is called as Angolana in Malayalam language. It is called as Angol Pazham in Tamil language. It is called as Melecolizia, Kannada, also called as Hezala or Kirahuli. So it reflects, it is also known to the common people. But the species is Elaeagnus latifolia. It is again a large woody scandent climber. Leaves having the silvery as well as coppery scales, both, and leaves are 4 to 8 centimeter and stamens are 4. In all Elaeagnus species, mostly we see the stamens are 4 in number. The number of stamens is 4 in almost all the species of Elaeagnus. But in case of its another species which is found in Ladakh, that is Russian Oleaster, known as Elaeagnus angustifolia. Its leaves are narrower, lanceolate, and they look like a willow. Whereas in our Jammu Hills we have the white flowering Elaeagnus umbellata or parvifolia, whereas in cold desert of Ladakh Elagnus angustifolia has golden yellow flowers and they are highly fragrant. It is also found in Goreis, Dawar. Its fruits are also pink red and they are edible. In case of Elagnus angustifolia, Ladakhis call it as Serching in their Ladakhi language, and because of the intense fragrance of the flowers, usually the twigs are kept in the monasteries, the places of worship. So this is having a sacred use in Ladakh. Whether we talk of Jammu oleaster, which is Elagnus parvifolia, Himalayan oleaster, or South Indian one, which is Elagnus latifolia, or Russian or Persian olive, or Russian oleaster, or Persian olive, or Russian olive, Elagnus angustifolia, Serching in Ladakh. All these Elagnus are nitrogen fixing plants. They are actinorhizal plants, and the root nodulation is not by our familiar rhizobium as we find in legumes. Here it is by the Frankia genus. Frankia is a filamentous kind of bacterium named after German biologist Frank, and this helps the bushes to adapt well to the poor soils, nitrogen deficient soils, and as they are able to convert atmospheric nitrogen into ammonia and then it is readily available to the plants, some of the quantities fixed are also made available to the surrounding vegetation. So it has been reported these oleasters can be used as companion plants by the fruit growers in their orchards, maybe the apples or olives where we are growing. We can introduce the oleaster or Elagnus plants, and it has been found in America. So, they have introduced basically these Asian species, but they, in America they have taken to the American continent, and there they have put it in landscapes and also used as a companion plant to boost the fruit production. So 10% higher yield of fruits was found when they included the Elagnus or oleaster plant as a companion plant. Fruits are rich in antioxidants, minerals, iron, calcium, magnesium, zinc, vitamins, vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E. They have a lot of fiber. Basically the fruit is akene inside, and what we find the juicy and pulpy red colored fleshy part, that is basically the transformation of calyx. Flower is without petals. Simply calyx tube gets transformed into fleshy structure, fleshy fruit, also known as silver berry. Why silver berry? Because of abundant silvery scales, silvery white scales under surfaces of all leaves, as well as they are present on the fruits. Silver berry. Hippophae ramonoides, which is sea buckthorn, also belongs to the same family to which Elagnus belongs, Elagnaceae. We can distinguish the two, Hippophae and the Elagnus, on the basis of two-lobed or four-lobed calyx. In case of Hippophae, perianth is four-lobed, whereas in case of Elagnus it is two-lobed. Another is in Elagnus flowers are bisexual, whereas in Hippophae unisexual, means male and female bushes are separate in case of Hippophae ramonoides, whereas in Elagnus the flowers are hermaphrodite, bisexual, and mostly have the four-lobed perianth. And if it is two-lobed, then it is Hippophae. Another third genus under Elagnus, Elagnaceae family, is Shepherdia. So Hippophae as well as Shepherdia, they are dioecious, male and female bushes or plants separate. Whereas in case of Polyester or Elaeagnus, it is the same hermaphrodite flower on the same tree. Ovules are anatropous type. These are mostly xerophytic plants. They are able to tolerate the soil salinity, and they are well adapted to varied habitats, whether drought prone habitats, whether the marshy wetland habitats, whether the having the more salinity in the ground or more sandy locations. So these are the pioneer plants for the disturbed and the poor soils. So they were used for soil improvement, for better soil health, for landscaping, even for the soil erosion control, and as ornamental bushes in America. We have the plants under this, which is known as especially the Russian olive or Russian silverberry, Elaeagnus angustifolia, which is found in Ladakh under the name Sersing. There is a tradition in Iran. On the occasion of Nowruz, they have the tradition of collecting the 7 symbolic items having the first alphabet of their names starting with the Sin, Urdu name or Persian Sin. So that is known as Haft Sin, and it is the one of the fruit, Persian olive or Russian silverberry, Elaeagnus angustifolia, also used under the name Sanjib on the occasion of Nowruz in Iran, and also used in Ladakhi monasteries under the name Sersing. Elaeagnus angustifolia as well as Elaeagnus umbellata or parvifolia, they are deciduous bushes. But we also have some of the evergreen bushes, especially in China, Japan, and also introduced in US. One of the most prominent species is Elaeagnus pungens. Basically China, Japan nativity, but it is introduced in US. Its thorns are very long, 2-3 inches long thorns. So it has been named as spiny oleaster. Also known as thorny Elaeagnus or spotted Elaeagnus or silver thorn. This is a huge sprawling shrub. Leaves are brown beneath. Flowers are bell-shaped, tubular, and fragrance of flowers is just like as we are having the gardenia flowers. And this flowers during autumn time. Most of the trees we see, they have the flowering time spring, but this Elaeagnus oleaster, they flower in the especially the pungens during the autumn time, and then in the winter time the berries are laden on the tree, and they remain there hung for a longer time, for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and they sustain the wildlife and the birds. Many birds and many animals, they thrive on this. So this oleaster or Elaeagnus was used even for the wildlife management by the experts in American continent. So this particular Elaeagnus pungens, which has very long spines, is evergreen in nature, and this is found in oak hickory forests. Also it was used for the reclamation of the mining sites in Kentucky, and in Japan this is usually found associated with Pittosporum tobera, and this has been exploited for bonsai making. So usually we have the bonsai form of this Elaeagnus pungens in Japan as well as in Canada, especially the Montreal Botanical Garden. We can see the bonsai prepared out of Elaeagnus pungens. We have the another species, Elaeagnus pyriformis. Pyr means pyrus, having the fruit looking like small pear. So this is found in Assam, northeast, and in Assami language it is called as Dhaukigutti. In Bodo language it is called as Dablut Sitai. This particular Elaeagnus oleaster is found in Brahmaputra valley. Here leaves are comparatively smaller and fruit is pear shaped. Seed is not ribbed, whereas it is ribbed in case of latifolia. Fruits of pyriformis are less acidic and they are eaten, edible. A very peculiar species found in America, which is called as Elaeagnus commutata, silverberry. This is also known as wolf willow. It is found even in Canada, Quebec, Alaska, Minnesota, South Dakota, America also. So it is again a rich source of flavonoids, also fatty acids. Almost all oleasters, they have the fatty acids, which is a rare phenomenon. We don't find mostly fatty acids in fruits. Fruits have found use in treatment of arthritis, especially the commutata. They are also considered to be anti-cancerous. They can reduce the incidence of cancers in the population, or they can also halt the reversal of the cancer. So this kind of research clues are also being gathered, and this is able to sustain the maritime exposure. So they are very useful for planting near the sea also, seashore. They enrich the soil. Its bark has also fibrous nature. So Elaeagnus commutata fiber was used for rope making and even the blankets in the earlier days, even for clothing. Dried fruits are also edible. They are also used as beads in America. And seed sowing takes place in winter before spring months, but it's very slow. Seed germination takes place about 18 months, 1.5 years. So it is a long duration germination, and this particular seed requires warm stratification also, and cuttings also take very longer time to sprout, at least 1 year, but they can be propagated and multiplied by suckers. This is a very prolific colonizer, and this has been treated invasive in the American continent. Here the leaves are silvery on both the sides in case of Elaeagnus commutata. It has been reported that its fruits are eaten by the sharp-tailed grouse, songbirds, and even by the moose during winter, especially in Montana, and even relished by deer, elk. Elaeagnus bushes have been found to be the nesting sites for mallards in North. So we see another species which is called as Elaeagnus conferta. This is found in northeastern India under the name Elaeagnus conferta. So this also resembles our Jammu species, which is Elaeagnus umbellata parvifolia, but in case of conferta, which we find in northeast, and it is not that silvery, so it is known as bastard oleander. Its fruit is also known as snake fruit or wild olive. It is known as guara in Bangla language and shokhua in Garo language. In Jantia Hills it is known as Diang Sanalangi, and in Kannada it is called as a halagi. Marathi ambagul. In Tamil it is called as Korankopalam, also as hitele, huligi. This species, which is called as the Elaeagnus conferta, this is restricted to the East Himalayan. So it is commonly distinguished from the South Indian species. South Indian species called as South Indian wild olive, Elagnus latifolia, whereas northeastern is known as East Himalayan wild olive, and this is distinguished as Elagnus conferta. But many of the botanists, they say it is the same species. So they treat it under Elagnus parvifolia also. So there is some botanists who think they are three distinct species. South Indian species is latifolia, northeastern species is conferta, and northwestern Himalayan we have the umbellata or parvifolia. And these bushes resembling the Hippophae ramonoides, which has been exploited for layberry juice and also used as biofence. The same use of Elagnus has also been found in Gores, especially in Dawar, where people in earlier times they used the hedge along the farmland as biofence. But after the submergence of that area in Dawar, this population of Elagnus has stands wiped out. The seed has also found the potential as biodiesel. That is another breakthrough, and it may be the future promising biofuel kind of plant. But this fruit with improved varieties have been found even in the formation of some jams, jellies, marmalades, juices. So many forest food value additions are taking place, especially in the American continent. So this is the fruit which we find in Jammu Shivaliks, Jammu Hills, and which is known to the local people, and they have been using it as a raw. There is a need to train the locals for the preparation of some kind of value added products out of layberry, out of this olive, wild olive berry or silverberry or Elagnus, which we call umbellata or Elagnus parvifolia. So there is a potential to have this kind of activity in Rajouri area and even in Kiran Karna, Kupawada and Shopanya and Dudu Basantgarh area, where usually we find the wild populations of Elagnus, which belongs to the family Elagnaceae, to which Hippophae ramonoides also belongs, and then Shepherdia, another genus found in America and Canada, which is also called the buffalo berry. That is basically a Shepherdia, Argentea or Shepherdia rotundifolia. This is seen in northern America. So all these three genera, Elagnus, Hippophae, Shepherdia, they belong to one family, Elagnaceae, and the bushes are known as the nitrogen fixing plants, actinorhizal plants, and they are very useful for the soil improvement, as these trees and bushes have very deep taproot system. So they conserve soil, they hold soil more tightly, and since it fruits remain on the tree for longer duration, 2-3 months during winter time, when mostly the food availability to the birds is not there, or even animals, even bears. There are some Elagnus species which have been reported to be eaten by the bears. So even the bear needs fat content. So they are rich in fat content also. So they are also useful where our primary objective is to conserve wildlife or to attract birds and wildlife. So Elagnus species, they are very useful to revegetate the barren lands and improve the soils, where we need soil conservation activities, even along the landslides, along the highways. There is one particular risk danger, as it was reported in Texas, America, where the Elagnus berries were planted even along the median of the highway, and many birds, especially a cedar waxwing, which comes in flocks to relish the oleaster berries of this in Texas. There were many, about 298 cedar waxwings were reported killed because of the vehicle hits while they were coming to eat the berries of Elagnus pungens. So this particular cedar wax wings, also known as Bombicella cedarorum. Not only this, but even many other birds. And if we plant it along the roadsides, then there is a risk or danger. They might be hit with the vehicles, and that also is not a good sign. So we need to be very careful while planting the oleaster plants in our parks and gardens or at other locations.